morning, everybody. We'll get started. We'd like to welcome tournament host Tiger Woods and Hero MotoCorp CEO and Chairman Dr. Pavan Munjal here to the interview room at the Hero World Challenge. Tiger, I'll start with you. Welcome back to Albany, Bahamas. What are you most looking forward to this week?
I'm looking forward to watching these guys play. The golf course is in amazing shape. I went out last night and took a look at it, and the golf course is running like it should. I think they'll probably get the greens a little bit faster come tournament days. But other than that, hardly any divots on the golf course. So, I mean, guys can't, really, you're going to see some low scores here. You can't really kind of hang around, make up too many pars. You're going to get left behind. So it's going to be a nice birdie fest, and should be exciting for all the viewers.
And this was the first PGA Tour sanctioned event to benefit TGR Foundation. Over the years, what has this relationship with the tournament meant to the foundation?
Yeah, we started this tournament back in, the 1999, 2000 changing of the years. And so it's been our flagship event. It's been incredible to have the venues we've been able to play in, the partners we've had over the years, and now with Hero and then what Pawan has done for the event and elevating this event to what it is now. It's been obviously beneficial for our foundation. We were able to do more in our STEM programs because of it, and we were able to help more kids around the country because of it.
And for Dr. Munjal, Hero MotoCorp is renowned for its association with global sports organizations. Speaking of the relationship with the tournament, what is the relationship meant for Hero?
It's been a wonderful relationship since the year 2014 when we started out in Orlando. And then, of course, moved to Albany. The brand really has had an absolutely wonderful relationship with TGR and Tiger. Not just the brand, but the kind of work, excellent work that the foundation TGR is doing. We believe in that, and we also, back home in India, with Hero We Care, we do very, very similar work over there. And the brand really has benefited from this association.
All right, we'll take some questions out here. If you have a question, we'll get a microphone to you. We'll start with Dylan and then Doug.
Tiger, first of all, just how are you feeling, and then what went into the decision to withdraw this week?
Well, it was a tough decision just because I want to play. I like playing, I like competing, but unfortunately, I can hit the golf ball and hit it whatever shot you want. I just can't walk. And so I've had a few setbacks during the year that I still was able to somehow play through. But this one, I just can't. Only time can heal this one and stay off my feet and get a lot of treatment done.
And was it a surprise to you going into this week that you weren't able to play, or when did you make this decision?
Well, as I was ramping up and I had to walk more, the worse it got. So when you get plantar fasciitis, that's the worst thing you can do is walk. And I was walking more and more and more, trying to get my legs ready for this event, and I just kept making it worse. Had to shut it down, and unfortunately, be the host of the event and Ranger Rick out here. So I can do that.
Doug?
That's kind of what I was going to ask, but following on the health theme, Rory had some comments about COVID at St. Andrews, and I was just curious your recollection of that, if you know what I'm talking about. Were you actually ever tested?
Yeah, I got tested, and I was always negative. Was I feeling under the weather? Yes. Wasn't feeling great a whole week, but I never got a positive test.
Okay. And then kind of in a broader sense, Tiger, if you can go back to a year ago, sitting at this table, what's transpired since then? Your own health, your play, the Saudi League, the meeting, the reshaping of the PGA Tour. If you were to go back a year ago and look into the future, what are those kind of surprises you the most, or what didn't you see coming?
For me, I was hoping to maybe play the British Open. I ended up playing three majors, which is not too bad, all things considered. Wasn't expecting to have a few more procedures because of playing, but that's just the way it goes. As far as the golf ecosystem, I don't think any of us would have foreseen it being as complicated as it is and convoluted as it has become, and the animosity from both sides. I don't think we would have seen that a year ago. Well, I see that there's an opportunity out there if both organizations put a stay on their litigation, but that's the problem. They got to put a stay on it, and whether or not they do that or not, there's no willingness to negotiate if you have a litigation against you. So if they both have a stay and then have a break and then they can meet and figure something out, then maybe there is something to be had. But I think Greg has to go, first of all, and then obviously the litigation against us and then our countersuit against them. Those would then have to be at a stay as well. So then we can talk. We can all talk freely.
We'll go to Rex and then Adam.
Tiger, along those same lines, the meeting in Delaware back in August that you and Roy went to, why do you think it was important for you to be in that meeting, and what was your message to the other players?
Well, the message is that we can't compete dollar for dollar with PIF. We physically can't do that. But what we can do is talk about better opportunities for younger players getting onto the tour and what it means to play the tour, how important it is, how important it is to have a legacy, be able to win major championships. As of right now, we don't know where the major championships stand on this. So if you're a tour player, you already know that you're in the major championships, you're in the top 50. So, okay, that's a guarantee, but the other players don't. They're taking a chance of never, ever, ever getting a chance to play major championships. And so where does your legacy stand there? You know, I went on a tour, made a lot of money, but I never got to win any tournaments that are of value that would put me in the Hall of Fame and things of that nature. So yes, there was a lot of talk of that and ways in which we can increase purses, reward players that are more visible than others, that drive the tour, reward them, and also give better access to the tour at different ages and in different ways than we ever have in the past. So it was a long meeting. A lot of different options were put about, and we all had to think about it, sit back, and then we've had many subsequent meetings, FaceTime meetings, trying to figure it out and make it better, and we also worked with the tour to try and make it better as well.
We'll go to Adam and then Dan.
Could you have played this week with a golf cart?
Say again?
Could you have played this week with a golf cart?
Yeah.
But you won't. You won't play this week, but you would at the father-son?
I can't hear you.
He's saying you didn't want to play this week with a golf cart, but you can at the father-son.
Yeah, it's the father-son is a sanctioned senior event, so they can all use golf carts.
Okay. And also, how have you justified this event getting official World Golf Ranking points, and would you be willing to relinquish that in the future?
Now, can you say that again?
Okay, the question was, would you be willing to relinquish the world ranking points in the future? And in Adam's words, how do you justify this event getting world ranking points?
Oh, yeah, we got world ranking points with this event with Sun City as well at the same time. We had increased field sizes, and the World Golf body said that you basically had to have the tournament running for, I think it's 3 years, and we'd already had it running for like 15 years, both events. And so both events were elevated to world ranking points.
We'll go to Dan next.
Have your doctors told you that the plantar fasciitis is related to the other injuries in the foot?
Yes, it is.
And so does that impact your long-term prognosis for returning to competitive golf, playing 72 holes and walking over and over
Yeah,
again?
I can hit golf balls. It's the walking that just hurts. So that's just something that when you got plantar fasciitis, the only thing you can do is rest and try and stretch that out as best as possible. But it's rest. I mean, how do you rest when you're hosting a tournament? It's hard. So this will be a tough week. The father-son will be a very easy week. Charlie will just hit all the shots, and I'll just get the putts out of the hole. So pretty easy there. But other than that, in the match we're playing, and we're flying in carts, 12 holes. So.
And I wanted to ask you about the Player Impact Program. You won it again this year. The tour announced that last week. I think you've played 9 competitive rounds over the last 2 years and won it both times. This program, when you see it come to fruition now, do you wish it was there when you were younger? Do you understand why it has to happen now? What are your kind of thoughts on the Player Impact Program?
Everything evolves. I mean, look at the FedEx iterations that we've had. One of the years, VJ didn't even have to tee it up. He didn't even have to show up for the last tournament or season-ending event, and he already won the FedEx Cup. So we've had different iterations of the FedEx Cup, and there's no difference with the PIP. I'm sure we're going to have different iterations of that going forward as well. There is no perfect system. You want people who drive the tour who are most visible, and the people that watch golf because of these certain players be rewarded for it. We haven't found the perfect model for that yet, and hopefully we do sometime soon. We're still working on it.
Go to Dave and then Ewan.
Tiger, 2 quick things. First of all, there is talk about the OWGR as it relates to live golf, and is it becoming irrelevant? They don't meet a lot of the criteria that have been set forward. Do you have an opinion about what you see for the OWGR going forward and the live argument?
What do I see going forward with
the OWGR? Is it relevant?
Yeah.
Is it
Well, the OWGR, it's a flawed system. That's something we all here recognize. The field at Dubai got less points than Sea Island, and more of the best top players were there in Dubai. So obviously there's a flawed system. How do you fix it? Those are meetings we're going to have. We're going to have it with World Golf Committee, and as well as the main tours are involved in it. Somehow come up with a better system than is in place now. I remember in my career when I had a big lead in my career, and I didn't have to play a single tournament the next year, and I still would be ranked number 1. We changed that system then. So it has been changed in the past, and I'm sure this will be changed hopefully soon.
Secondly, what is your goal for next year as far as how much you want to play, and if you can play the schedule you want to, what does that look like, and what is the goal? I assume you're not going just to show up.
The goal is to play just the major championships and maybe 1 or 2 more. That's it. I mean, that's all I can do. And I told you that, guys, the beginning of this year too. I mean, I don't have much left in this leg, so gear up for the biggest ones, and hopefully, lightning catches in a bottle, and I'm up there in contention with a chance to win, and hopefully I'll remember how to do that. But giving myself a chance to get out there again. As I said, I didn't expect to play 3 majors this year. We were hoping for just the British Open, but I was able to get 2 more in there. So that was a big positive.
Ewan, Mark, and then Martin.
Tiger, just linked to, straight in front of you.
Sorry.
Just linked to that point. I mean, you spoke at St Andrews when we last saw you about the struggle to play in the majors this year, and we witnessed that a lot of the time. You must have worked incredibly hard to get to the point where you could almost play here, and now you can't play. Is there never a part of you that thinks, why keep going? Why keep trying this? I've got nothing else to prove.
Well, I love competing. I love this sport. I've been playing it for basically all my life, and actually I've been a pro for more than half my life. So if you look at it in those terms, I've been a part of this sport and I've loved it. It's just unfortunate I'm not able to do the things that I feel mentally I can do. The body just kind of rejects it. When I was at home, I was shooting 4, 5, 6, 7 under par like it was nothing, but I was in a cart. Now you add in walking, and that goes away. So I need to get to where that point is where I can actually walk around and play that way like all of you guys can. I'm not able to do that right now.
Mark, and then Martin. Mark right here.
Hey, Tiger, how are you?
Yeah.
I have 2 questions unrelated. One of which is, years ago when Tim Finchem was the commissioner, if I'm not mistaken, you were trying to make some inroads, for the top players were drawing most of the eyeballs to the game to be compensated more, because they were using your likeness and image on, every brochure, et cetera, back in the day brochures. What changed for you with that? Because obviously that's part of the reason, you know, the group that went to live, like Phil, try to shake the tree a little bit. I'm just kind of curious where that changed for you, and you know, and why that wasn't not.
Well, I
became
think in order to compete, I mean, it's always good to have competition in the sport, and obviously, Live has changed the ecosystem, you know, of our game. I remember this is originally that the Akron event, the Bridgestone tournament, was supposed to be the payment of players for playing on the teams. You're not going to get paid for being on Ryder Cup or President's Cup team, but here's your payment by playing in Bridgestone. Obviously, that changed quickly. But yes, there's been some ebb and flow, some give and take with the players and the commissioners and their staff. And I think this year more so than any other time that we've had the openness to be able to talk to our commissioner and say, hey, these are things that we want to get better on the tour. And here's a list of them in priority too. And Jay sat through a lot of these meetings, a lot of the conference calls, and with Rory and I talking to him too as well. I think we made some great changes. But how do we also replenish the players that have left? It's obviously giving more opportunities for players that are coming into the game that are younger, collegiate or amateur, more access to it. The game has gotten younger, period. And the guys are winning majors in their mid-early 20s. But also we want to get younger kids coming in here and playing the game of golf and experiencing the tour and experiencing what it's like to play major championships and hopefully win them.
And just as a follow there, part of those changes you talked about, there's a lot more money coming into tournaments from the tour that weren't, you know, available, so to speak, before Liv came around. And a guy like, you know, like Mickelson, for example, obviously is the face of that. And he took a lot of criticism. He's taken most of the bullets for that, so to speak. And he's criticized heavily by players on tour for it, who now will be making a lot more money at tournaments because of him shaking that tree. Do you feel like, to some degree, they owe an apology for that, or
No, absolutely not. No, we took out an enormous loan during the pandemic, in which that if we had another year of the pandemic, our tour would only be sustained for another year. So we took out an enormous loan. It worked. It paid off in our benefit. Hence, we were able to use that money to make the increases that we made.
All right, we'll go to Martin over there.
Tiger, you've had a few months to reflect on making it to St Andrews. When you look back now, what did that week mean to you? And has it made you more determined maybe to go back one more time?
Well, I don't know. To be honest with you, I don't know if I'll be able to make it back one more time as a player in the tournament. You know, whether I might, you know, I probably will go back and play it at some point with Charlie and have a great time. But, I mean, I think it's, 8 years away, I believe? I don't know what this leg is going to look like in 8 years. Hopefully still attached. But we'll see. And I just don't want to go back and just say farewell. I mean, I want to win the damn thing. I mean, that's what I thought I could do this year. I was doing everything right, and then all of a sudden, my leg just wasn't working properly. So, and hence I missed the cut badly.
We'll go over here on the left, Todd Lewis.
Hi, Tiger. In regards to the dynamics between the PGA Tour and Live Golf, what do you hope personally the end game will be?
Between our two tours?
Correct.
We don't know. No one knows. Right now, there's a lot of animosity, especially from their leadership, and they want to be a validated tour with world ranking points, and they're buying up tours around the world. And I don't know. I don't know what their end game is. It might be just being an official member of the golf ecosystem and being recognized with world ranking points. I think that's where their intended goal is. They've spent probably close to $2 billion this year. Who's to say they can't spend $4 or $5 billion next year? You know, we just don't know. It's an endless pit of money, but that doesn't necessarily create legacies either. You want to compare yourself to Hogan, you want to compare yourself to Snead, you want to compare yourself to Nicklaus. You can't do that over there, which you can on this tour.
Do you think these organizations can coexist?
Right now, as it is, not right now. Not with their leadership. Not with Greg there and his animosity towards the tour itself. I don't see that happening. As Rory said, and I said it as well, I think Greg's got to leave. And then we can eventually, hopefully, have a stay between the two lawsuits and figure something out. But why would you change anything if you got a lawsuit against you? Now, they sued us first.
Bob?
Tiger, two separate things. Had you seen improvement since St. Andrews in your leg, progressing
Yes.
over the last couple of months before this latest setback? And how much does this mean you've regressed?
It's going to take probably a month or two of rest. But also, it was the ramping up process that did it. It's a balancing act, right? How hard do you push it to make progress? While not pushing it too hard, you go off the edge and you set yourself back 2-3 days, and that's been the balancing act the whole year. And trying to do that, get ready for this event. I did a lot of beach walks, trying to simulate the sand out here, and my foot just did not like that very much.
And secondly, you just referenced it with the litigation, and until that's gone, there's really nothing that can happen talking-wise with Liv. But if that did happen, you must have an idea of something that you think where they could work together, if you're even willing to talk. What would that be? How could these two entities coexist?
As I said, I think it has to start with leadership on their side. Understanding that what is happening right now is not in the best fit or future for the whole game of golf. Now, what is the best way for our game to grow? It's not this way. But granted, you need to have the two bodies come together. And if one side has so much animosity, trying to destroy our tour, then how do you work with that?
We'll go to Doug right here.
Early on, when you were talking about your year in golf, you mentioned a couple of procedures that you had this year. I'm not sure I was aware of those. What procedures did you have?
Yeah, I had a couple surgeries, yes.
Can you elaborate?
Nope.
Can you say when?
In the past.
In the past.
This year.
Thank you, Bones.
You're welcome.
And then, this may sound odd, but what was the best shot you hit this year? A short menu, but surely there was something.
Officially, the best shot I hit all year? I know. I mean, it's hard to say. I only played like 3 rounds, so. I know that the worst break I got this year, I hit a nice 4-iron right down the middle of the fairway on one at St. Andrews, and it was in a divot. So that was probably the worst break. Yeah. We will work backwards from there.
Got time for a couple more. We'll go to Bernie.
Tiger, good to see you again, of course, and thanks for your time this morning. You talked about Rory. Rory seems to be the unofficial sort of spokesperson for the PGA Tour. I know you two guys get on pretty well, but how much do you admire him for the stance he's taken, and particularly his comments in Dubai about my compatriot who should take the stage left? How much do you sort of admire Rory for what he's saying about what's going on and things like that?
What Rory has said and done are what leaders do. And Rory is the true leader out here on tour. The fact that he's actually able to get the things he said out in the public eye and be so clear-minded with it and so eloquent with it. Meanwhile, go out there and win golf tournaments on top of that. People have no idea how hard that is to do, be able to separate those two things. But he's been fantastic. He's a great leader in our calls we make. And then he's a great leader with all the players out here. Everyone respects him. And that's they respect him because not just his ball striking, his driving, but the person he is.
Just quickly, with probably a month to go before the end of this year, And in a sentence, how would you surmise what's taken place off the course this year with men's professional golf?
I'm sorry.
How would you surmise what has been taking place with men's professional golf this year, the sort of controversy, just the whole sort of thing that's gone on?
Well, I think this whole year has been, it's a year that we didn't expect to have happen. For, as I said, the animosity, the angst, and then the players leaving, and then the way they show their disregard or disrespect to the tour that helped them get to that point. There's a lot of things I certainly don't like about it, and there's certain players that are very upfront with it and have declared it, and I respect them for that. But there's also a flip side to that too that I thought it was a little bit on a tasteless side.
We'll go to Fatia and then Joy.
Tiger, you have huge legacy with your foundation and what you did with golf in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think, or you would be happy to add one to this with making a role of peacemaker with what happened right now?
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's whether it's going to be me, Rory, or the tour or other players being. I wasn't necessarily a peacemaker, but I just think that there's a window, I think, of opportunity for us from both tours to figure this out shortly. But I think that window's closing just because the majors are coming up now, and they're going to have their own criteria for the majors. But if they can do it quickly before that, but again, that goes back to Liv and their lawsuit. They are suing us first, and then we countersued them. So they have to back off the table, then we'll back off the table, and then we have a place to talk. But their leadership has to change as well. And if that doesn't, then I think it's going to continue to go down the path that it's going right now.
Joy and then Dan.
Tiger, there was a time when most players would come and ask you about golf swing and other stuff. Do you find there's a difference now? Because, I was talking to Arjun and he was telling me that he has spoken to you a lot about his golf swing because of his back injury.
Yeah.
Have you found that players are now coming to you like a Dr. Tiger Woods? Can you tell us if we have this injury, what can we do with our swing? Do you find that change?
It's very respectful. It is neat, yes. I've had a few players that have come over the house and wanted to work on some stuff in the backyard with me, and they have, and then they've made some positive strides, which I'm excited about. I help them, so it's nice to be able to be on that seat, but I'd much rather be competing against them.
There are 206 bones in the body. Do you know each one of them by now?
No, I know each of the one that hurts, so, okay.
Dan?
Yeah, two really, really quick questions. Tiger, right?
Yeah.
In the heyday, 2001, 2002, were you ever approached about starting your own tour?
No, never.
And the second question is there ever a scenario in which you would take a golf cart during competition?
Take golf or what?
Take a golf cart during competition on the PGA Tour. Could you ever see that happening?
No, on the PGA Tour, no. On the sanctioned events where it's allowed, yes, which is the Champions Tour, PNC, things of that nature. But, my teammate was Casey Martin, okay? And what he did with the ADA, I voted against it. I think golf is an integral part of the game, and at our level. And I will never take a golf cart until it's sanctioned where it's sanctioned, and it's sanctioned on the Champions Tour, and then PNC is part of that. So as far as a regular event, no, I would never do that.
All right, that's all the time we have. Thank you very much for your time, Tiger and Dr. Munjal.
Thank you.